Beneath the dermis is the subcutaneous tissue, and this is our fatty layer. It's found below the dermis, and some specialists actually regard it as a continuation of the dermis or a part of the dermis. Also might be called adipose tissue or subcutaneous tissue. It varies in thickness according to age, sex, and general health of the individual. And the book was real nice in saying that the general health of the individual, what that means is how much extra weight we've got on there as to how thick our subcutaneous is. It gives smoothness and contour to the body, contains fats for use as energy, and it protects as a cushion for the outer skin. So how then does our skin grow and reproduce and all that? Blood and lymph, the clear fluids of the body that resemble blood plasma but contain only colorless corpuscles, supply nourishment to our skins. As they circulate through the skin, the blood and lymph contribute essential materials for growth, nourishment, and repair of the skin, hair, and nails. Networks of these arteries and lymph vessels in the subcutaneous tissue send their smaller branches to hair papillae, hair follicles, and skin glands. Do y'all remember when we discussed the hair going through the zone of keratinization, how it grows and the amino acids begin to attach back with one another and then the side bonds? Basically the same thing occurs, except naturally the skin doesn't go through the zone of keratinization because it doesn't come up through the hair follicle. But it goes through that same process of the capillaries leaking the blood for the nourishment that the skin needs. That's why massage is specifically good for the face. It gets the blood flowing and brings it up. The skin contains the surface endings of the following nerve fibers. Motor nerve fibers are distributed to the erector pili muscles attached to the hair follicles. This is what causes us to have goosebumps when we're frightened or cold. Sensory nerve fibers react to heat, cold, touch, pressure, and pain. These sensory receptors are what sends the messages to the brain that we've touched something that's cut us, or we've touched something that's hot, or whatever. Our secretory nerve fibers are distributed to the sweat and oil glands of the skin. Secretory nerves are part of the autonomic nervous system. They regulate the excretion of perspiration from the sweat glands. They also control the flow of sebum to the surface of the skin. And sebum is what our oil glands secrete, or our sebaceous glands. We usually say my face is real oily, but what we really mean is we've got a lot of sebum coming from our sebaceous glands, because that is that oily substance. The papillary layer of the dermis houses the nerve endings that provide the body with the sense of touch. These nerve endings register basic sensations such as touch, pain, heat, cold, and pressure. Nerve endings are most abundant in our fingertips, and that's good for us. When we started to do service, did y'all remember I said something about we'd learn or tell as much with feel as we do with our eyes, and that's coming from our fingertips. Complex sensations such as vibrations seem to depend on the sensitivity of a combination of these nerve endings. Why is our skin the color it is? And if we look around, all of our skin is a different color. How many of us have the same color skin as one of our parents? Very few of us. It's an individual thing, because we wind up a mixture of what our parents were. So our skin kind of is combo. The color of the skin, whether fair, medium, or dark, depends in part on the blood supply to the skin, but primarily it depends on melanin, the tiny grains of pigment that are deposited in the stratum germinativum of the epidermis, and also deposited in the papillary layers of the dermis. The color of pigment varies from person to person. The distinctive color of the skin is a hereditary trait and varies among races and nationalities. Dark skin contains more melanin, light skin contains less. Melanin has a purpose, though. It protects the sensitive cells against strong light rays. A sun protection factor, or FPF, should be used to help the melanin in the skin protect it from burning. Did y'all notice yesterday when we were talking about the difference in, we had a light before that showed the sun damage to the skin, the last demonstrator that came in, and it was amazing because Miss Garrett's lighter skin than I was, but she had more damage than I had for the sun, so my melanin actually protected me a little bit from it because, you know, like it's your protective layer. Strength and flexibility of the skin. The skin gets its strength, form, and flexibility from two specific structures composed of flexible protein fibers found within the dermis. These two structures, which make up 70% of the dermis, are called collagen and elastin. And y'all had heard those words before you started reading this. Where had you heard them? TV. Advertising face creams or hand creams or skin creams or makeup. So the companies are telling us now that they're putting collagen and elastin in the products that we buy. Collagen is a fibrous protein that gives the skin form and strength. The fiber makes up a large portion of the dermis and helps give structural support to the skin by holding together all the structures found in this layer. When collagen fibers are healthy, they allow the skin to stretch and contract as necessary. If collagen fibers become weakened due to a lack of moisture in the skin, environmental damage, or frequent changes in weight, the skin will begin to lose its tone and subtleness. Wrinkles and sagging are often the result of collagen fibers losing their strength. Collagen fibers are interwoven with elastic, which is a protein base similar to collagen that forms elastic tissue. This fiber gives the skin its flexibility and elasticity. Elastin helps the skin regain its shape, even after being repeatedly stretched and expanded. Both of these fibers are important to the overall health and appearance of the skin, but aging takes away that. You remember we were talking about yesterday, it all begins to come downward, and the wrinkles in the face. That's why we do our manipulations up and out. As we age, these fibers weaken, causing the kind of wrinkling and sagging that was mentioned above. Keeping the skin healthy, moisturized, and free of disease will slow the weakening process and help keep the skin looking young longer. So now we're going to talk about the glands of the skin. And we have two types of glands. They're duct glands. Do y'all remember about your duct glands? We studied anatomy. We had the duct glands and the ductless glands. Skin contains two types of duct glands that extract materials from the blood to form new substances: the pseudoauriferous or sweat glands and the sebaceous or oil glands. And if you notice through studying this, the sebaceous glands are big time offenders to us. But on the reverse side, no matter what type of creams or lotions we buy, nothing will replace the natural sebum that our sebaceous glands secrete. And when you run up with the client that has excessively dry skin and hair, you will know that, because no matter what we do, it's not going to be as soft and supple and flexible as somebody that has excessive oil. But then when we have the excessive oil, we tend to have all these breakouts and problem areas in our skin. So we're going to talk about the pseudoauriferous glands or sweat glands first. They excrete sweat from the skin. They consist of a coiled base or fundus and a tube-like duct that ends at the skin surface to form the sweat pore. Practically all parts of the body are supplied with sweat glands, which are more numerous on the palms, soles, forehead, and in the armpits. How many of y'all have ever gotten nervous and feel your hands get wet all of a sudden? That's simply your pseudoauriferous glands working. Sweat glands regulate body temperature and help to eliminate waste products from the body. Their activity is greatly influenced by heat, exercise, emotions, and certain drugs. The excretion of sweat is controlled by the nervous system. Normally 1 or 2 pints of liquid containing salts are eliminated daily through sweat pores in the skin. The sebaceous or oil glands of the skin are connected to the hair follicles. They consist of little sacs that have ducts that open into those follicles. They secrete sebum, a fatty or oily secretion that lubricates the skin and preserves the softness of the hair. How many of y'all have ever heard the brush your hair 100 strokes every night before you go to bed theory that they used to do? You know, they had healthier hair than we do. Of course, I don't think they had as pretty hair, because we go out there and dye ours all different colors and curl it and straighten it and all that. But it made that hair shine because they distributed that sebum from the scalp area through all the hair strands. They didn't have the split ends we have either. Of course, they didn't have the blow dryers or curling irons that we have either.